So we'll be starting with lesson 3, your documentation and maintenance of records. Now, as a company secretary, it is very important to maintain all the records of the company, their clients, and also all the various legal requirements with respect to documentation is required to be ensured. Now, if we see any listed company, you think they must be having little data or a lot of data? What do you think?
A lot of data.
So they have a lot of data. This data can be segregated into, important data, confidential data, as well as general information with respect to their sales, purchases, right up till board meetings, etc. Now, company secretaries are actually compliance officers of the company, and at the same time, in your Companies Act 2013, it is stated that the company secretary shall be liable or shall be responsible for maintaining records and registers. Companies today have softwares in place to manage their data. Those softwares are called as database management softwares. These are high-end softwares which ensures that all the data of the company can be maintained in a secured, in a structured, and in a manner which can be retrieved easily by having their proper archive and backup policy. So in the chapter, they start off first telling that why should we know about certain software, certain systems, about database, etc. So they say that company secretary has the primary role to maintain records and registers. So the primary role of a company secretary is to maintain certain records about the company. Now, a records when maintained in a systematic manner helps the company secretary, helps the board of directors, helps the top management to use the data and extract meaningful information from that data. I'll come to that shortly, but let's see. There is a good understanding of what documents needs to be created, what is the purpose of such documentation, how much details are to be disclosed in the documentation is important. Now, a company secretary will maintain data about the company and its records. Apart from maintaining records, the next level is ensuring its confidentiality and its secrecy. The company secretary is also responsible for storing information. Sometimes data can be asked with respect to the IT returns, with respect to sales, with respect to certain purchases, with respect to certain transactions. Maintaining them for a certain time, retrieving them in case there is a data loss, certifying and explaining corporate documents. So sometimes even the company secretary has to certify certain transactions like related party transactions or any kind of important transactions like transactions when insiders are trading. Okay, so all of that needs to be certified by him. So simply stated, a company secretary has to ensure that all the data is in place. Now, what is the purpose of proper documentation? So very generic information they have sent. First is, if I have all the data in place, I will be able to serve the clients well. Okay, I will be able to serve the clients in a timely and effective manner. Common sense, if I have the data. Now I will go a little more, not only restricting to company secretary, but how does a company secretary as a business aspect of information also? Let me explain. Now they're talking about client services. Documentation is a tool for professionals to serve to their clients in a timely and effective manner. Now what does it mean? Let's say a company has to uh, give certain filings. Automatically the software prompts you that you need to do these filings, these are the timelines, etc. In talking of the business aspects, there is something called as customer relationship management. Have you heard of this? There are certain softwares inbuilt into which the company uses, which is your customer relationship management, which helps you serve your clients better. Now, what are these exactly? Companies today, on basis of what purchases you have made, they maintain a record of this and accordingly pitch to you certain related other products. So a company uses data to really find your preferences. They find your income. On basis of the income levels, they will be able to know what product to sell to you. So accordingly the clients will be get better products. So this way they are saying that managing the data well helps you serve your clients. I'm talking about the business aspect. Second, communication as between two professionals. Let's say if a company secretary is giving the information to an external auditor, if the documents are maintained in a well organized manner, it will be enhance the communication between the two professionals. Third, accountability, and again fourth is quite similar, professional responsibility. It is an integral part of a professional practice is to maintain data, because data can be used as evidence, proof whether you have done your job well or not. Accountability. Now, sometimes when data is not maintained, we have seen CEOs like Facebook, being in front of the court answering about data and mismanagement of data. Okay, so especially accountability when there are certain inquiries, regulatory proceedings, etc. Okay. Now, why else maintain data? It is a legal requirement. It shows whether you've done your work in a quality manner or no. It helps do research, R&D. Now, a very interesting part on how they use data and how do they use these database softwares. The first supercomputer in India, which was used by a company, the first company to use a supercomputer was Asian Paints. Now, Asian Paints, on basis of where do you reside, okay, where do you stay, your geographical location, they would ask where do you stay. Accordingly, the supercomputer would be able to tell 99% accuracy which color you're going to buy and which color you're going to put in your house. Now imagine among the various different colors that are there that you can choose to color your home. Is it possible for anyone to guess which color you're going to apply in your house, in your room? Is it easy? So Asian Paints had bought in way back. It was the first company to do that. On basis of this, there are these data scientists who dig into information to extract future patterns. So they are called as data scientists, which today is one of the fastest growing professions in the world. So again, this helps valuable information, data of customers, give valuable information into the trends, and accordingly businesses can, accordingly place their products, etc. Next is your resource management. They would come to know where to apply what money, yes or no, with accurate planning. So accurate and comprehensive documentation is a valuable source of evidence and provides basis for resource management. The biggest resource is your manpower, is your money, etc. Once you have data in place and documents in place, it's easier for you to understand. Let me give you another example. Uh, for example, data is showing that the purchases of DSLR with time is reducing. Okay, so would you want to put a lot of money into DSLR and launching new DSLR projects? Would you want to do that? Or people have found out that having mobile phones, now we have bloggers in place who are actually vlogging, and those mobile cameras, okay, those high end cameras, etc., have picked up in place of DSLRs, because carrying DSLR, the expense, only you can use it as a camera. Whereas nowadays people are having mobile phones which are as good as DSLR. So those have picked up. After I see the trend, I know where to put my resources in. Have you understood this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now moving ahead, guiding principles for good documentation. Now, as a company secretary, we have to maintain documents in a systematic, in a concise, in a clear manner. Now they are saying, when I say documentation, am I only talking of physical documentation and paperwork? Am I talking of only paperwork, or I'm
No.
talking of all forms of documentation? So here, when we are talking about as a company secretary, we talk about all forms of documentation. So with respect to electronic records, audio tapes, video tapes, whichever, emails, pass miles, images, charts, checklist, combination. So maintaining a documentation whichever is relevant, and all these things are important. Good documentation promotes good corporate governance. It will be able to tell you who is doing a good job, who you should give increment, all of those as well. So all of this, your data management softwares, database management softwares called as DBMS softwares, are incorporated by organizations today. Now, what are the guiding principles? It's very simple, but they can ask you in the examination. Okay, from exam point of view, I'll call it as a past exam question, or they can ask you, what are the guiding principles for good documentation? Can it be confusing? Can I make documentation which are confusing? Will it help? What do you think?
Sir, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So, would you like records, documents which are confusing in nature?
No, sir.
No. So, we would want something which is clear, which is concise, it's to the point, which is complete, which is contemporary. Contemporary means what? As per the modern techniques, today's fashion, there are certain, best softwares incorporated in those fashions. It should have a consecutive method. Okay. So when I say consecutive method means what? It should be in order. 2012, 13, 14, 15. So maybe having in a consecutive order makes sense. Having correct information, having comprehensive means what? Enough. It shouldn't be it should be complete. It should be combined. Now when I say combined, they go on to tell you uh, data. Let's say, for example, can I say a business, anybody who has a business, okay, let's say you are the entrepreneur here. Let me draw you. Okay, so you are the entrepreneur. You, as an entrepreneur, is your job to work in the business? Should you work in the business, or should you work on the business? Should you work in the business or on the business?
On the business.
Very good. So it should be on the business. When I say in the business means what? You're sitting and doing some departmental work. So a business is nothing but a system or a combination of departments, various departments. So it could be your sales department, it could be your marketing department. A marketing will make a marketing plan, will do the digital marketing, will do your SEO, website, etc. Sales would actually do calls and try to sell your product. You would have a you would have a certain product management team. You would have a legal team, right? A legal team. It goes on. What else department you think companies have? Legal, this. What else other department you think?
Accounts.
Accounts. Very good. Any other? They have secretarial department, sometimes they have differently. Okay, sometimes HR way to hire the top employee, and let's say that you have a tech IT team. Now a entrepreneur, if they are working in any one department, then there's nobody guiding all of them. So entrepreneur really looks, oversees all of this and ensures that all these people are there in place, and businesses run automated in their own fashion automatically as a self-running business. So this is the job of an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur needs data to really data information with what is going to happen in future. Even today, let's say if I tell you to start a business, you would wonder which business is going to pick up, because any business that you get into, you would be stuck in for 3 years and then let's say for the rest of your life. So most probably the rest of your life. So ensuring that you choose the right field along with the right business, etc. So data should be combined. We should have combination of all data, and then only you will be able to make right decisions, etc. Okay, next is client centric. It should be with the help of being able to serve your client better. And maybe I have the records of Mahindra, I might have the records of Tata's, I might have the records of Reliance. So having client segregated information also will be helpful, and maintaining confidentiality. Examples of poor documentation. I think this is pretty simple. First we were talking of good, now we are talking of bad. Now what is poor documentation? Having errors, they are not signed, having write overs. I think this is your, we can say, answer sheets of exam. Possible? Everybody is guilty of having such kind of answer sheets. Yes or no? Nobody wants to answer that. Do you think your answers generally have a lot of corrections, overwriting? They are not in sequence. Okay, they are not, all delegation of work is not recorded. Out of specification procedures not detailed, so it's not detailed enough. So they are saying these are all bad documentation, signs of bad documentation. The standard operating procedures as adopted is not authorized, not sanctioned by someone. So these are all signs of poor documentation. Pretty simple. Okay. Now examples of good practices. It is completed at time. A superseded document should be retained for a specific period of time. So basically documentations of certain important documents should be maintained for a certain period. It should be concise, legible, accurate and traceable. Picture is worth 1,000 words. So you think you should have your DP fixed on it? You think you should have your picture?
No, sir.
No. So sometimes you see picture speaks 1,000 words in terms of team members who were there. If you see, companies nowadays also have information of like the KYC. They have customers Aadhaar card, they have customers details including pictures. Okay, sometimes even flow charts is much useful. Okay, we have seen nowadays companies taking data of employees and their staff, like let's say Swiggy or Urban Clap, Uber, these online companies. They have pictures of their staff exactly who's there, just for the safety and good record keeping. They should have clear examples, and don't assume knowledge that I remember. Can I say my, or they simply say that a short pencil. Okay, a short, now this is pretty stupid, but still, a short pencil is greater than a long memory. Simply meaning maintain records. Understood till here? Now coming to electronic repository of documents. Now gone are the times where we hold information in physical form. When you go to buy in anything, you see nobody's using paperwork anymore. Everything is recorded in their system. The sales, the accounting, everything is in the system, and people have gone from paper to paperless methods. Okay. Now, documents today, and we are going to see various government, laws or certain government rules which are saying that, which are required to maintain in physical form, those physical documentation. If you maintain it in electronic form, also the requirement is said to be fine. So in your IT or in your Information Technology Act, they have said so many times contracts which were, if held in electronic mode, is also said to be as per the law. Certain kind of certificates, if maintained in electronic form, that is also okay. Certain kind of payments, if done in electronic form, all of which is giving recognition to electronic documentation and records. Again, so proof of payment, e-contracts, e-payments, e-certifications, all are the times of today. So now let's talk about electronic repository of documents. Repository means a register, so maintaining a kind of a database of electronic records. Documents management refers to the process of managing and tracking documents and records through a electronic and physical source of documents. Now, as I told you, companies adopt a database management system. These are actually systems. What do? They are systems which manage database or which manage documents. So these are computer systems, softwares whose jobs is to store, then manage. When I say store, is it just storing information? Is it just storing information, or they use this information for to extract more meaningful information? So they even manage, or they call it in IT words, they call it as manipulation of data. Now they're not that manipulation, but they dig and drill into data to find out much more meaningful patterns which they can use for their business purposes and track electronic documents, images, etc. Document DBMS can be defined as a software that controls. Why do I say control? Because accessing that database, there is control incorporated by the software. Okay, and organizes the documents of an organization in a systematic manner. Pretty simple. Advantages of a software: obviously you can lock documents. We've seen some kind of PDF files, you can lock it with a password. Simultaneous editing. Now it is possible that database, or you could say simply, when you see Reliance database, so many companies from so many employees from all over the world are working on Reliance database management system. Yes or no? DBMS. For example, I am sitting in Chennai and you are sitting in Mumbai. Now, as we are employees, okay, now with respect to, I get a phone call from my client, from Reliance client, that please change my address. So do you think even a person from Chennai can change the address, and even a person from Mumbai can change the address of the client who's of Reliance client? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So there is again a feature of DBMS software called as multi-viewing. Multi-viewing. So from, you can also see what data is there. Even I and all the employees can view the data simultaneously, as well as multi-editing. So any one of us can edit it. So all of that will come, and not only after you edit it, it will also generate a log. It will generate something called as a log. Now what is a log? A log is a a trail, or we could say a sequence, a history will be created, that X employee number 3120 has edited this information, 3140 has edited this information. So it will be easier to retrieve and come back to the original data. For example, this was the original data, the editing was done here, then it was done here again, and it was done here again. If I want to come back to my original version, it is easy? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
In our Word document also, if we've done some error somewhere and we want to come back, what do we press? Anyone knows? In editing Word, to come back, if we made an error, so we come back. Is it Control Z?
Control Z.
Very good. So Control Z is like you made an error, you come back to the previous version, etc. So they're talking of document version control. For example, the document this was the original document. Then this became version 1 with one editing. This became version 2 with the second editing. This became the version 3. So the system really keeps a track when it was edited, who edited it, and it also gives you the feature of coming back to your system. Rollback options are there, which is called as retrieval policy. Ease in trailing, it's very easy. And annotation and stamps. Annotation and stamps means the time, what kind of editing you have done, everything will be prompted. So pretty simple, we've used all of this. Then coming to the advantages of electronic records. It's more cheaper or to maintain records, or it's more expensive now?
Comparatively, yes, because management is almost cost friendly.
Correct. So having certain kind of online portal, you can save a lot more information, and as compared to holding physical data. Now physical data requires first of all books and all of that, so you have require a place. Now again, we know how much expensive physical places, renting out certain places. Rather, it's much easier to store data on clouds, that are these online servers or online on the internet. Second, ease of use. It's much easier to change mistakes, etc. Labor saving. Now again, cost of managing, locating, disposing is almost nil and minimum when it comes to online. Searchability. It's very easy. Control F. You can find out any document. Portability. Now, when I say portability means what? It's easy to send information as compared to physical information. Physical sending file will cost you money. Okay, we send it through VFast, etc., but it costs money. Rather, you send an email, you send certain other transfers, online transfers, much more cheaper. Version tracking. I told you all, once editing is done in a physical document, you might not come to know. But in online, we'll definitely have this training, what the document looked like before the change. Okay, management in hard copy is pretty complex and literally impossible to find out the previous version of the document. Then coming disadvantages of electronic records. Now such a beautiful concept, we still need to find out a little disadvantage and kind of faults from of physical record. What could it be possibly according to you all? So simply they are saying, one, isn't it easy to access information and retrieve information online? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
बस वही गलती है, वही problem है. That is the only problem, that it can be easily accessible by anybody, retrieve the information by anybody, changed by the information. So one they are saying is, as compared to physical, where it is much more difficult to amend documents, this is easier to amend. So therefore, it has a problem with a person runs the risk of not being able to read it once. Let's see. So one of the problems is obviously it's easy to retrieve, so anybody can take the data and steal it, but take a copies of it, and you might not come to know because obviously systems have limitations. But as compared to physical copies, they are much more secured since it's much difficult to reach. Now let's see. Firstly, they're talking of software risk. Sometimes it has happened that you have certain documents and now it is not opening up. You have that possible not opening due to the system becoming obsolete, the software is no longer
Yes, sir.
sufficient, etc. So Now, really stupid example I'm giving. Okay, so I have one DVD player. I have one DVD. Okay, in which it is my third birthday. Which birthday?
Third.
Third. So I was really young at that point of time, and I want to see myself when I was 3 years old. But unfortunately, that DVD is no longer writable. It has data inside, but is not being able. I tried. Others also tried, but data cannot be retrieved. So it is possible that after some time, it no longer supports. The disk becomes corrupt.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Possible it
So
is.
unfortunately, that is the status. So have a risk that the system being no longer supported by the software. Okay, or the company ceases to exist. Format risk, while storing records in an electronic format, again they're saying that having in a certain format, the risk of not being able to play in that format or read at some point of time is always there. Today we have DVDs, JPEGs, but it's possible in future these might not be readable now. Still, they're saying so document should be such that it can be converted from one form to another. Okay, measures should be taken that you can go backward and uh, forward compatible for years and years to come, but it is a risk. Now coming to reliability. Now paper has uncertain format, but a person should keep a paper copy of vital documents, deeds, etc. Tell me one thing: only online documents is going to be sufficient and more reliable, or having online with physical is more reliable? Shouldn't it be with some off-site location also the physical copy should be saved? That's what
Yes,
this,
sir.
yeah. So that's what they're saying. Just by mere online is not going to be helpful. And lastly, portability. The portability of a disadvantage for is a advantage for digital. Now this is the point that I was talking about. Portability is a advantage of digital image that we can easily port it from one, transfer it from one place to another. It's easy to misplace and accidentally delete large amount of data. You forgot the password. Do you remember your password of your Offered account or some random account which is no longer in use, your Hotmail account or your I believe you must be having a Yahoo account. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. You don't remember.
So obviously all this is possible to misplace or you must have deleted the information. And at the same time they're saying since its portability is there, it might also be duplicated and transported outside the organization without the permission of the knowledge of the company. Now coming to now understanding that yes, data is important, managing data is equally important, maintaining confidentiality is even more important. Now coming to the legal core uh, part of it, you can mark it as important. This, even if they don't ask you, you will quote in your exam. Okay, so this is what you have to quote in your exam. Maintenance inspection of documents in respect of electronic form under the Companies Act 2013. So maintenance and inspection of documents in electronic form. So maintaining information in electronic form. So we've read it till now. Yes or no? That you can maintain documents in electronic form.
Yes, sir.
बट किधर लिखा है कौन सा सेक्शन कौन सा रूल नंबर तो आई वांट यू टू राइट इट डाउन at the very start of your chapter only. Okay, certain sections that will come. So you will proactively quote it. They haven't given you too much. You have to just remember section 120 of Companies Act read with rule number 27 and 28 of the Companies Management Rules 2014. Now what does this talk about? Provides for maintenance of documents in electronic form. It provides for inspection of documents also in electronic form. It states that documents, records, registers, minutes, etc., which are required to be kept by the company, may also be kept in electronic form. You got section 120? That documents, records, registers, which are required to be maintained by the company, can also be maintained in electronic form. Understood till here?
Yes, sir.
Pretty simple. Now, what is this rule 27 talking about? it says that every listed company, okay, every listed company having at least 1000 shareholders, one minimum 1000 shareholders, may maintain its record in electronic form. Clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Pretty simple. Then section 2 subsection 36 defines a document. Now they are saying documents means documents which are also maintained in electronic form. Now talking about records, the term records means any register or any other document which is required to be maintained by the company. So when they are saying in records in company law means any record which the company is required to maintain. Therefore, such records can be also maintained in electronic form. This is what they are trying to say, which we have understood. जो documents बोला है maintain करना means you can even maintain in electronic form. Fine. However, electronic records must be maintained in a certain manner as the board of directors of the company may deem fit. Now, what does this line mean? Electronic records shall be maintained in a certain manner. Means what? Electronic records have to be maintained in a secured manner, in a certain format, in a certain method, with a certain backup, and digitally signed. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
This is what they're trying to say, that the records must be maintained in certain formats according to law. It should be available for future reference. Okay, the records must be capable of being readable, retrievable, reproducible in printed form. It should be digitally signed wherever it is required. It should be dated and signed digitally, not being capable of being edited and altered without authorization, and records, logs, and the record should be capable of being updated. The records can be updated, kept on, there if there is any changes required. They are called as dynamic data rather than static data. So dynamic data can be kept on can be updated also. For example, uh, I have the records of my clients. Working in a banking company, and I have the records of my clients. The client has changed his address, so I should have the system should be upgradable where I can update the information also of the change in address. Now coming to this was which rule number that we read. Now this what we were talking about is rule 27. Rule 27 says that you can also maintain it in electronic form. Now we are going to read rule number 28. What is so which all sections and rule numbers are hit till now? Section 120, rule 27, rule 28 and section 2 subsection 36. Got it till here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now coming to again what I've repeated is very simple. They're going to be maintaining it from hacking, etc. They're very simple. We can read through quickly. The managing director, the board may decide who shall be responsible for maintaining electronic records. The person who is responsible shall provide protection against unauthorized access, ensuring against loss of data, ensuring that there is signatories of the electronic records, ensures that the computer system programs are adequately secured and validated. Means whatever records are there, it is securely updated and it can be validated by knowing that which employee had altered the information. Ensure that the computer system can discern invalid and altered records, so they can find out and remove errors also if done by an employee. The records are accurate, accessible, capable of being reproduced for a future reference. At all times should be retrieved to be readable. Okay, they should be kept in a non-rewritable and non-erasable format like a PDF. For example, should I save any kind of information in Word file or in PDF version? Which is better?
PDF.
Obviously, Word file you can update it, delete it, etc. But a PDF cannot be done. Okay, if it is as long as it is in the PDF form. Then you should have proper backup. You should limit the access, only to certain authorized persons. It should be complete, authentic, true, legible when retrieved. It should be arranged and indexed. Like it should be arranged and index the record means it should be in a proper sequence. It has we have table numbers, we have certain codes to retrieve the data. Okay, organize the it should be as we have let's say a board report or we see the annual report. We see that there is a proper index with paging, page numbers. So same way when you maintain the record, it should be in a certain index of the record should also be there. You should take necessary steps to ensure security, integrity, and confidentiality of records. Pretty simple. Now coming to data, is ideally in virtual data rooms are also there and physical data rooms are also there. Today, companies maintain data in physical data room or virtual data room or both.
Both.
Both. Which is costly.
Physical.
Now, physical is more costly because it occupies more space. You require more funds, more resources to maintain a physical, and virtual is much easier, retrievable, etc. Okay. Now, physical data repository refers to a central place where all the database is stored and maintained. A repository can be a place where multiple databases are located for distribution over a network. Now, what do you mean by a repository they're talking about? A place where all the records are kept is a place where multiple databases, multiple data are located. Yes or no? A database is a place where multiple data and files are recorded.
Yes, sir.
And this data is going to be kept or it will be available for distribution to various teams, research teams, legal teams, okay, and can be easily and directly accessible to users without having to travel across any of the network. So quickly let me just show you, ideally a company's database management system takes in data from all the departments like your sales, you can have your purchase, you can have your legal, you can have your R&D, you can have any kind of operations, you can have your manufacturing. All the data that has been collected is stored in the software. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is a database management software or a call a database repository. Repository. Now, sometimes people and it contains information of the full company across all the locations as well. Okay. So this database which contains the full data of the entire company is collectively called as a data warehouse. It is called as a data warehouse. Now all this you don't have, but I'm just telling you, it's a data warehouse. From this data warehouse, the company further uses other analytical softwares, certain other kinds of softwares to dig into this database and find out future, find out the future transactions, future products to be developed. So with this, they do something called as data mining. Now, data mining is digging into data, going into data, into historical data, into the past data. Tell me, all this data is of the past or of a particular year. Yes or no? These are all data of the past.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. They will do data mining. Now, data mining is using, extreme computer software tools to find out patterns for the future. And accordingly, future plans and planning is done. Have you understood till here?
Yes, sir.
And then accordingly you are sending it to all the teams and all the people and all the organizations accordingly that see data is showing that people are moving towards electrical vehicles, okay, and they are disowning environmental hazardous products, so we need to switch our base into another place, because if you don't try to adapt from the from the changing environment, and that is what this software helps you to do. You will become something like Nokia. Have you heard of Nokia?
Yes, sir.
It had the full market in their control. However, they could not adapt to, the various operating systems and the touch screen, and, we know what, it's no longer even in existence as a competition anymore. So therefore, adapting to change is very important. So this repository is very important. Today, it is said that information is the real oil. Is the real oil. Can I say companies like Zomato, companies like Reliance Jio initially was facing losses? Even we have other online companies which are facing loss. They are giving now even I don't know whether you know. These are these Agoda app for if you're wanting to travel anywhere, etc. So they are all giving discounts from their pocket. So bearing a loss. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
These are these loss-making companies which have multi-billion valuations. Their valuation increase. Why is that? Because they have been able to capture information of the consumer. You see Facebook, you see YouTube. What are they doing? They are taking your data, finding out what are your patterns, what are your interests, and then accordingly pitching ads to you according to your interest needs. Okay, they call it as business intelligence, where they try to trace your, because whenever a consumer does a click on the computer, they leave back a trail, they leave their footprints onto it, and whenever you leave your footprints, this they have these Google crawlers, they crawl into the information and try to find out who you are and what product suits you, and accordingly they will pitch in the relevant ad for you. And that's how these companies, these prefer advertising on Facebook, on YouTube, on all these social media, because it has a much targeted reach. बराबर कस्टमर को ट्रेस होगा. So these are all these repositories which is then distributed to the different people for the business purpose. Now coming to this physical and data room, pretty simple. Here you can have papers, this. Here you can have electronic records, documents, emails. Now security of these documents, it lies with the integrity of the person who is in charge of the data room. If the watchman allows you, the integrity is compromised. This is more secure since you have a login ID, password and logs. Time required for creation of a data room, longer time required for having a physical proper saving, whereas this can be set up in no hour. You have all these companies that give you virtual servers. Cost they are saying is high, this cost is low. Convenience, so it's going to be time consuming if I tell you entire data room to find one file, but here I can simply go in Control F and I can find it all. Accessibility, timings are there, whereas online you can go at any time of time or time to check the information. Facility to restrict, okay, difficult to implement, but your access can be restricted. Facility to check who has reviewed, it's going to take a lot of cost to see that if someone is in the data room, what all he has checked, we don't come to know, but here it is much easier to find. Ability to copy documents, it's possible. Here it is not always possible since we can just give you viewing access, no withdrawing information. New information to be conveyed manually to all the bidders. Here a highlight can be made in the website created as a data room. Facility to highlight new information to be conveyed manually. Suppose if there's some new information and I want to communicate, you have to physically communicate. You're automatically on the website, we can have prompts and certain ways. So they are just saying that if any new information is there, we can easily, much more in a well organized manner, softwares can do it. Communication to one, communication with a seller or his representation, which is available, it is not available. One-to-one communication with the seller. Here you can talk to the person. Here it is not, since it's a software, it's not available to talk to a representative. So some of the changes you can see. Now coming to this part of coding. Whenever you have files of clients, okay, so you have documents of certain clients, yes or no? You will have documents of clients.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let's say if I have done a secretarial audit of TCS, don't you think I will have a folder maintained for TCS?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now I will have a folder. Now I will name the folder in a certain manner so that it is easier for me to trace it. So I will have secretarial audit. Maybe I can have a code, essay, because whenever I want to keep secretarial audit, I don't want to keep it full secretarial audit. I can have essay as a code, and I can keep it as SA, name of the company TCS, and maybe then the year which I have kept 2022. Understood here? So they are also talking about coding and naming. When I say coding of documents means what? Here when I'm saying of coding, simply when I'm going to talk about is what? Naming. Understood here? So we will have to name document files clearly so that it is easily traceable and findable. So many times you must have noticed if you working on a certain file, if it is not named correctly, it is very difficult to retrieve it. Yes or
Yes,
no?
sir.
Yeah. Now coming to the topic of naming. You know what is Elon Musk child name? So one reporter also asked the Elon Musk that how is AE12 doing? So he said who? So the reporter said AE12. So, there are jokes. So, this is the name of the child. You think it's a good naming?
No, sir.
No.
Not at all.
No. So, basically, so many people they said his next Tesla model he has named of his child. Somebody has said that, what a password he keeps, he's named his child. And some people have said that he's forgotten that this is not a product launch, okay, that he normally does. Should it be taken as a product launch? Is it a product launch that he has done?
No, sir.
No. So therefore, naming and coding should be done correctly. So here now they will be talking about as a company secretary, you have to maintain records. So coding and nomenclature. Nomenclature is a normal standards, how it is done, how is naming done. So adopting a good file naming is important. So what will happen with it? Now this naming is of two kinds. One is self-descriptive and second is non-descriptive. How many types of file names can be there? One is self-descriptive and second is non-descriptive. Understood this here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we are talking about naming your work. Okay. Let's say you've done a project. Now you have to name the project, right? So they're saying about the coding part. So let's see. दो टाइप की क्या बोल रहे हैं वो लोग? 1 and 2. So two kinds are there. One is self-descriptive, means you yourself define it, you yourself tell what it is. So if I have done the sectoral audit of TCS in 2020, I can have a code which I set it SA PCS hyphen 2022. So this is my codes that I plan to prefer to name the file. So this is how I will name the file. So for me, whenever I do a sectoral audit, I will go in my SA folder, right? If I do a internal audit, I'll go in my IA folder. So I will name it correctly. So this naming is done by the system or it is done by me? The naming is done by me or it is done by the system? This SA or Elon Musk, they are called as self-descriptive. Means the person themselves defines the name. It should be ideally as concise and well defined. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Huh. and they are saying that it should be easy identification schemes that link the digital object to the source material. So what are they saying? That they've used some tech, like high-end words, etc., which are used in DBMS. But in simple words, I'll tell you, the file names should be small, and you have to link the object, the digital object, to the source material. So let's say if I am saving a file, okay, for a working file, like let's say working papers. Have you heard of working papers?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I can have a essay TCS WP underscore 2022. So what is happening here? I have named this file. Now this I know is I'm doing an audit. So the audit, and what does it contain? It contains the working paper. So it is linking me to the source document, to my original document. See, this is the working papers for this TCS, etc. So they're saying there has to be some linking, some connection of files. Understood till here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in the entire DBMS, there has to be linking done throughout. So working papers should be done separately, which will help me go to the source file, the original file. Okay. Now coming to the other one, non-descriptive file. Or again, if I have to just show you now, you don't have to get confused. Let's say mostly database are removed from trial balance. Okay, trial balance. So let's say this I could say is my source. From my source, I must have removed some data. So I have to be that from where I've got this data, it should be from the trial balance. If I've this is my working done, then clear till here?
Yes, sir.
So they are always saying that whatever work you do, there has to be some linking into front and end. So we come to know much more easily. So a file within a file, etc. Now non-descriptive. This is pretty simple. This is not what we do. This is what the system automatically generates. For example, transaction ID, customer ID, product ID. It is what we give the name, or automatically it comes up. So can I say this customer ID, transaction ID are system generated numbers,
Yes, sir.
digital numbers? So yeah, the descriptive ones are what we plan to do. Every person will want to link it and name it differently according to their experience. Non-descriptive is you don't have to do. Automatically the system only generates a code. So many times when we go to ICSI and we make a complaint, automatically a SRN number or a complaint ID is system generated. Now that is much more easier than we naming stuff. It is much more suited for large scale digitalization projects. Now some points you have to just mark it as important. Okay. What they've given you, some rules in coding, some rules in naming. Firstly, they are saying that don't leave any blank space. Now pay attention. Okay. Now they mark it. This is what is going to come again 2-3 times. Okay. So I've highlighted it. You also do it. A best practice is to replace space with a underline or a hyphen. Means if I'm saying it is Zubair's birthday video, so normally we keep a space, right? But here in digital records it's better to keep a hyphen. Understood till here? So Zubair's underscore birthday underscore video. So this is what they are saying, that
Why it is better to use underline
because
and
see,
not space?
again, now what happens is computers understand numbers better, hyphens better. So suppose if I don't keep any referencing, then it becomes much more difficult to locate, and it goes in one stretch. So if I keep Zubair, okay, and I keep Jahangir, whatever, okay, like this, but they're just saying that if you have Zubair underscore J, the computer understands the sequence much better. Okay, so that is why they are saying that it doesn't get confused. You also, as you get confused, a computer gets confused with numbers because there's so many words into this system. Having hyphens, a connection sequence is much easier for a customer to for a computer to pull up. And even more, instead of putting names, can you see this? Having more numbers are better. So if you see, have you numbers are better whenever you have certain clients, customers, they instead of putting Sakshi Jain, this is going to be difficult for a computer to locate as compared to a customer ID 3629 which doesn't repeat itself. Understood? So these are some of the reasons why computers etc can pull up this information much more easier since it is easy for it to retrieve it. Then again, they're saying, however, punctuation marks, symbols, special characters, okay, should be avoided. So this is into the system, and it's a normal practice. And even sometimes systems itself will say, don't use these words. So that's how they say that you should avoid it. The following are the best practices for file naming. It should be unique. It should be persistent. Okay, it should be clear. Basically, the length should not be more than 25 to 35 characters. Okay, using number schemes are better. Then it should contain a file extension. Like automatically any software should develop a file extension also, JPEG. Automatically when you save a file, automatically comes into JPEG. Then comes use a period followed by a file extension, maybe dot this. It comes up automatically. So this is about having softwares which do this, and we all use database management softwares, could be anything. You see that there is a sequence given and there is a format extension also given. Okay, the lower use lowercase letters. However, when a file has more than one word, each word should start with an uppercase. For example, file underscore name underscore this dot document. Use numbers and or letters but not characters and not spaces. Use hyphen or underscores instead of spaces. Again, what they've repeated. Use standard date notations. Avoid blank spaces anywhere. Not use any overly complex naming scheme. Now we're talking about the 10 basic rules which are considered as guidelines for good naming of folders, etc. So from this, if they ask in your exam, write 10 basic rules which serve as a general guide in structuring folders and file naming. You can write the particulars and the reasons. These two things you can write it with a head, as your particulars will be a head, and in that as a further end you can write the reasons. Both is very simple. Let's understand, and it's very logical and obvious at the same time. So when I'm naming a file, should I keep the file name too long?
No.
No. So avoid extra long folder names. Okay. Second, put sufficient elements, that is enough naming, so it is easy to retrieve it. So they've given an example, and and complex hierarchical structure should also be avoided. When I say complex, right, sometimes they show from a D drive, ABC folder, financial years, this. Now when you go too much, okay, that is you should know when to stop. But if I go into D drive, something where it just keeps on going, then too long makes it just not advisable. When you see so many database systems, don't you think they give you something like, suppose if I open a file, it gives me the trace of which drive it is in. Yes or no?
Yes.
That they're talking of the entire database system gives you a kind of a sequence that it is in this folder in this financial year. This is the MGT7 document. Okay, so they're saying avoid extra long, only till where it is necessary. Second, put sufficient elements. Elements are those keywords which will help you trace your document, search, report, etc. But if I just put a report, then it's not good. So your main element should be there. Next, they're talking about use underscores. As I told you all, most important, the computer system doesn't understand spacing that well as it understands the underscore. So keeping a sequence will help in later on also to find locate it much easier. Okay, and do not use certain special characters. Most of the database system tell you not to use certain things and to use certain other underscores, which is a normal standard. Use hyphen, again hyphen and underscores to delimit spacing, to delimit words, so it is in a sequence rather than saying Smith John AIG. Say Smith hyphen slash this AIG. So these are some of the principles in naming, and basically for also database systems, when they design database systems, they try to keep it in a certain flow. The elements should be ordered from general to specific. Means what? Whenever I'm naming something, first will be the general and then will be the specific one. So from general, okay, general is a company information. Two, they come to the work orders. So then you come more specific, yes or no. First you write Reliance Industries, then you'll write trial balance, and then you write the work order. Or should I go for work order, trial balance, and Reliance? So this is the general information should come first, and the more specific one should come later on. So this is considered to be more logically ordered. Next, the order importance rule holds true when elements include date and time stamps. So the date and the time should be in this order, etc. Now this is important because when the employee is saving this information, companies do have a certain naming policy which your manager or etc. will explain to you. And these policies are standard for you, me, everyone working in the organization, so that when you leave the organization, the next one who comes in also is using the same coding scheme. Okay, the order of important rules hold true when elements include a date and time stamps. So always date and time should be mentioned so that we can save the information in a chronological order in case if you want to. Personal names within an element should have the family name first. So instead of Ratan Tata, you'll have Tata Ratan, or instead of James Bond, you'll have Bond James, something like that. Okay, so you have the name of the family first. Now these are all principles laid down which they have given you. Abbreviate the content as much as possible. So if we have to maintain review revenue, you can abbreviate it by REV. Secretarial can be by SEC. An element for version control. Now again, version control is about when you go from version 1 to version 2. Okay, should so whenever a document is there, for example, it will be written that it's version 1. Maybe someone has gone through it, it has gone through more processing, it will come to version 2. Okay, an element for version control should start with V. Version will be V, followed by at least 2 digits. So they will be V01, version 02, version 03. It's much more internationally appreciated to have two things. Now again, prefix the name of the pertinent subfolders to the file name. Again, so you will have the subfolder, and we will come to know with the file name. So you'll come to know that it is production Suzuki Limited with respect to the trial balance, etc. Attached file names, file shared through portable files indicate only the file name and can be totally devoid of the context. They are saying prefix the names of the subfolder. Production, so POD. Okay. Now coming to these 10 rules, how many of them you remember? So first, extra long folder should not be there. Then second, doesn't mean that you make it too small, at least put the keywords. Then they are talking when you keep the keywords also, don't leave space, never leave space, either use hyphen or underscores. Then we are using hyphens and underscores also, then go from general to specific. Then put the time and date. Okay, then when you're putting the time, date, etc. And if it's a family name, then put the family name first, then the person's name later on. Abbreviate the content of elements wherever possible. That is, wherever it is possible, instead of secretarial, put SEC. Instead of revenue, put REV. Version controls will be by the word V with two letters, and prefix the name of the pertinent subfolder also. So also say that which is a subfolder. Now talking about this case law, that is your Arjun Pandit Rao versus Kailash as per the Supreme Court of India. It talks about section 65A and 65B of the Indian Evidence Act 1872. What does section 65A talk about? Section 65A talks about the contents of electronic records may be proved in accordance with the provisions of section 65B. Means if I want to prove that a particular electronic record was correct, I can follow it as per section 65B. Now what is section 65B? Let's look at that first. So section 65B talks about when can evidence be taken by the court with respect to electronic evidence. For example, if there is some information or evidence in your computer system, when can that be taken as evidence in court? Tell me one thing, is evidence from your mobile phone, WhatsApp chat treated as evidence in court? Yes or no?
So probably only if it is certified.
Correct. So normally when you have mobile phone evidence, it is not really taken as strong evidence on itself. Okay, so but I have seen many times in real life cases, they are attaching screenshots of chats, and on basis of those chats, they are trying to, if the judge feels that it is true, fair on the face of it, he can proceed and take it as evidence. Okay, now it says that subsection 4, it says that sometimes the judge may ask for a certificate, may ask from a certificate from a person who is in control of that system. For example, if I want some information with respect to your college attendance, etc., you are producing it to me that see you had got evidence from, you had removed the details from your college, you had got the certificate. Now you yourself is giving me certain transcripts or certain documents which were removed from your computer system of your college. Can it be taken as evidence in court? Answer is yes. Even though it was from your college, certain information was taken by you and you are producing it, it is secondary information. If government wants to testify it whether this information given is correct or no, they can ask the person who was in control of the computer system of that system in which data is stored to give a certificate that this is authentic. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
This certificate that yes, it was taken from my system and it was absolutely correct is mandatory or it is optional, or it is on the discretion of the court to demand a certificate. So let's read that. It is saying that in any proceedings where it is desired a certificate can be called for. Okay, so only when it is desired. So it is not mandatory that the court will order a certificate to be called for with respect to knowing that a certain document exists, information exists to testify it. If the court feels by on the face of it that it is correct and authentic, they don't need a certificate. They can move ahead on its own also. So this certificate is given by a person who was holding a responsible position with respect to the management activities of that system. So let's read what are they trying to say. The premise about the certificate, whether certificate. So there was a case law that is in this. It was found by the court in Shafi Mohammed versus State of Himachal Pradesh. Okay, where it was observed that electronic evidence is admissible under section 65A and B if the electronic so they said that the court had initially said that that requirement of getting the certificate is mandatory, but we read through the section, it is not mandatory, it is a procedural requirement, and if the court feels necessary then they might call for the certification. Otherwise they can move ahead if they feel that it is authentic and it is reliable, then the court might admit such information also. So section 64B subsection 4 cannot be secured by any person who is not in possession of electronic record is wholly incorrect. That a person who is not in possession of electronic device, he cannot bring such evidence is incorrect. You can always, the court can always make an application, okay, and ask a certificate from the person who is in control. So simply stating that if the government is satisfied with respect to any electronic information, they can not demand such kind of certificate. The Supreme Court observed that the major premise in this that the certificate cannot be secured by a person who is not in possession of the electronic device is completely incorrect. So in the Shafi Mohammed case, they said that it has to be given by a person who was in possession of the device is incorrect. Application can always be made to a judge for production of such a certificate from the requisite person under section this. So it can be taken as evidence if the court feels fit. And court also has a right to demand a certificate from a person who was in possession of that device. Now moving ahead to a simpler thing, circulation of documents. Now again, general, these are not very important. You can just read and move ahead. In a company, effort shall be established to control the issuance of documents. Okay. Now, when I say control means what? On regular basis, should changes be done, or they should be not regularly done? It should be done periodically done. Regularly, it should be done frequently or periodically. So here they are saying that frequently, if you keep changing it, it makes no sense. Giving instructions regularly, it will have no meaning. So having periodically, after reviewing all these aspects, and then if you feel you need to make certain changes, then you can circulate it. So in a company's efforts to establish control, the issuance of documents such as issuance of instructions, any kind of procedures, any kind of changes, which prescribe all activities affecting control of documents and records. These changes shall assure that a documents include changes are reviewed and approved from the authorized person. Changes to documents shall be reviewed and approved by the same authority that has performed the original review unless the organization designates someone else. Simply stating that whatever documents are there, it should be preserved, and whoever is changing it, it should be done after proper authorization. Safety and retrieval of documents, again very simple. To ensure that the best quality of documents, it is important to be assured that sufficient records are maintained and furnished evidence of activities affecting the quality. the record should incorporate the following. Now again, to maintain safety and proper backup retrieval records, we should have operational logs. That is, you have names of the person who worked on it. You should have results of reviews. Okay, recording of changes suggested by the reviewer and basis of injection of a non-agreement. Inspection, list of the people who have got access to the information, monitoring the work performance and information analysis. So records should incorporate the following: proper logs of who all have worked on it, who all have inspected it, results of reviews, who all have reviewed it, and recording the changes, what has been prescribed by the reviewer in case of any documents. Fourth, monitoring the work, and fifth, performing analysis of the information system. So this you can just mark it as just read, not very important, the headings. Care of records and archives should be kept together by three key concepts. So care of records and saving them, three important things. Keep all the information together. So sales information should be kept in all together in one place. Second, ensure the life cycle. Life cycle simply means uh, a continuous sequence of information should be there. Life cycle means in three phases. You can mark this as important. Very simple. Current phase, semi phase, and non current phase. Tell me one thing: is every document going to be used every single day? According to you, every day, frequently? Or there will be a life cycle of the importance of a document. For example, the current phase shows the most important phase where the file will be regularly being opened, checked, etc. Semi current phase is when it will be infrequently used, and non-current phase is when it's been the time is over and you will plan to destroy the information. So this is the life cycle. So first it's very important, then it is less important, and then it is not important. So this is the life cycle of a document or a information. Then comes about the recording and preserving the document and having proper policies. So three policies they've kept together for records. First one is all together, then have a life cycle, and what is the last one? Preserve the documents. Clear till here?
Yes, sir.
Then comes preservation of documents. Now again, very simple also, but just mark them as important. Now again, section and regulation number. So regulation number 9 and regulation number 38 talks about preservation of records. So SEBI LODR regulations 2015, regulation number 9 and regulation number 30, sub-regulation 8 talks about preservation of documents. 9 is talking about preserving the documents in two categories. One is some of the documents like your MOA, AOA have to be preserved periodically, like permanently, and some like your audit papers, etc., have to be preserved for at least 8 years. So classify and have a policy for preservation of documents approved by the board of directors, and classifying these important documents into two categories, like your MOA, what is a policy with respect to preserving permanent documents, incorporation documents, and other kinds of documents which require 8-year preservation. Now this is your regulation number 9. What does regulation number 30 sub regulation number 8 talk about? It says that listed, now regulation number 29 and 30 talks about disclosures. So listed company shall disclose on its website all events and information which has been disclosed to the stock exchange. So info which has gone to the stock exchange, okay, under regulation number 30, and the disclosure shall be hosted onto the website. So this information will be put up onto the website for a minimum period of 5 years. Okay, what all information the company has given to the stock exchange has to be put up onto the website, as they have your corporate disclosures, and will be preserved for over 5 years, and it will be preserved there onto the website. So we are seeing the certain preservation documents. Now this you can just mark it as read, just read. Following factors to be considered while preserving certain documents. So they're saying see, check the law, analyze and restructuring of the existing system according to the laws for preserving documents. Check the organizational records. Third, providing physical protection for records, maintaining records in the record center, managing the archives, etc. Okay, supporting and sustaining. So just read through this, not very important. Now coming again, this also read with respect to certain litigation documents. Suppose you had a dispute, you have to preserve it, as per the requirements of the court, tribunals, etc. Suppose you have certain cases. Deviation from the policy, again, if you're deviating, you have to take the court's approval, and it should be according to the SEBI regulations. Now they'll give you your model policy, which a company has to, preserve. So they've given those. It is as per your regulation number 9 and regulation number 30, sub regulation number 8. Firstly, they talk about the purpose. Now, what is the purpose of having this policy? The purpose of this document is to present a policy statement for the company. Now, the policy is framed for the purpose of systematic identification, categorization, maintenance of records, and to retrieve them whenever it is needed. Now, according to the policy, the document should be preserved in various categories, okay, classified. One, which are documents which are permanent in nature, some documents which are going to be used for at least 8 years, some of the policy which will cover to preserve your documents for at least 3 years, okay, that will be given. So you should have policies for 3 categories of documents. Next is principles of responsibility. Whose responsibility it is to preserve the documents? So all employees, it's their duty to preserve documents, to preserve information and documents as required. Periodical review of the policy. So whatever policy is made, it should be reviewed by the top management. Suspension of records, disposal in event of litigation or claims. In case the company is served with any of the notice for request of documents and becomes aware of the government investigation of any of the litigation against the company, any further disposal of documents connected with the matter shall be suspended until the investigation comes to an end. So if an investigation is going on, you should suspend disposal of any kind of information except with the consent of the court. Statutory requirement, so you should keep yourself updated with the technology, laws and the various laws with respect to preservation of documents. And web archival policy. Archival means to preserve. The company shall disclose on its website what policy they have maintained, and the disclosure shall be retained for a period of 5 years. At the end of the 5th year, the information shall be archived and preserved for another 3 years. Now they've given you documents. What kind of documents will be preserved for permanently? So they'll give you your incorporation documents, etc. Documents which will be preserved for at least 8 years, and then you can read this up. They can ask you few. Now setting up of a record room. A record room is basically where all the data will be preserved. Okay, for their administrative units. Okay, they should have a proper place where they will be there. Okay, it can be stored for years in the basement. Due to the absence of proper record room, the documents are stored into the best condition for conservation of physical room are a neat environment free of dust, controlled light, humidity, temperature. Now, what are they trying to say? That having so much information, where would you store it, and the location of your storage? Companies do decide, but they have to keep this in mind that they're talking of the humidity, temperature, lighting, all have to be appropriate wherever you're going to save it. Now, coming about privacy of records and its control. So, maintaining proper confidential information about the employees and the customers, about the information with respect to the office plans, where are the locations, office IDs, those have to be preserved, and then the commercial agreement. So they're talking about you should have preserved all these kind of documents. How do you maintain? So some, this is important, suggestive steps for protection of confidential information. So it should be locked, it should be protected by firewalls, employees should clear their desk, they should refrain from giving any confidential information. It documents which are confidential should be marked as confidential. So these you can read from. Employees should be refraining from disclosing in public places. Should avoid using emails to transmit sensitive information. Limit the acquisition of confidential client data unless it is needed. Now again, very 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 important, something which can come in your exam, personal data protection bill. Very simple, from the head itself it will get over. But the introductory part, this bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha by the Minister of Electronics and Information Technology, Ravi Shankar Prasad, then in 2019. Now, to whom does this personal data protection bill apply to? So it applies to all government and non-governmental companies, including foreign companies. Now, obligation of data fiduciary. Now they are all talking of companies like Facebook, all of them who have your personal data. It is the right of an individual to have right to privacy. They are saying that this data should not be divulged or used except with one word called as consent. So consent is the most important aspect. So we are giving data to our companies with and there exists a fiduciary relationship with them, a matter of trust. A data fiduciary is an entity who decides and means in the purpose of processing personal data. Such processing shall be subject to certain purpose, collection and storage. For instance, personal data can be produced only for specific, clear and lawful purpose. All data fiduciaries, that is, companies who have data, have a fiduciary relationship, must undertake transparency and accountability for maintaining proper safeguards, okay, and providing proper grievance mechanism. Okay, they must also institute mechanisms of age verification, parental consent while processing any personal data of children. Rights of individuals. The bill sets out certain rights of the individual whose data is being dealt with, called as data principle. These includes the right to obtain confirmation before they are trying to process any data, seek correction if there is inaccurate or incomplete personal data, have personal data transferred to any other fiduciary. For example, I want to do mobile portability, so my data can be transferred, restrict continuing disclosures of my information, grounds for processing personal data. So again, the most important is consent. Only with consent you can do it. Okay, but they are saying data can be processed or divulged or dealt only with consent. However, in certain cases, it can also be done without consent. If there is a state is demanding, it's a legal proceeding, or there is a medical emergency. Social media intermediaries, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Equally important, who have to protect and protect your data. Data Protection Authority. Now they've set up a specific, like how you have a consumer court, there's a Data Protection Authority whose steps is to protect the interests of individuals, prevent misuse, ensure compliance with the bills. Okay, there will be chairpersons, etc. And there are orders. There are these adjudicating authorities that can pass orders, and you can go and appeal to the appellate tribunal. and from the appeal you can go to Supreme Court. Transfer of data outside India. Sensitive data may be transferred outside India for processing if explicitly consented by the individual. So basically, information can go to companies outside India. Exemption. Now, government and its agencies are exempt. Now this is important. When can these government and all of them take information? So they are saying they are exempt from this data protection. They can actually get your data. So in security of the state, you can get the information to prevent any offense, for prevention of any kind of domestic information, etc. Okay, it must be specific, clear, and for lawful purpose only. So this is important when your data can be given or taken by the government. Offenses. Again, offenses under the bill include processing or transferring of personal data in violation of the bill, punishable with fine of 4 crores or 4% of the turnover of the fiduciary, whichever is higher. So they've given you the penalizing for violation of the policy. Sharing of non-personal data with the government. The central government may direct data fiduciary to produce any data which is of non-personal and anonymized personal data for better targeting of services. Amendment to other laws. So the bill seeks to amend IT Act, etc., to delete certain provisions of Companies Act and relate to certain compensation payable by companies for failure to protect personal data. Expert committee chaired under the chairmanship of Krish Gopal Krishna, constituted by the Ministry of Electronics, and this has published a draft. They observe that non-personal data should be regulated to enable data sharing framework to tap economics. So basically about your age, etc. This can be used for better targeting, knowing about the income levels. So the government can use this to serve and make government policies much better. That is it. We are done with the chapter.